Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. This is episode 80. And, for this episode, we had originally planned to do something a little different, but this one is going to just be a good old BS session about everything that's going on in the archery industry and really the hunting world with Mr. Thor Nichols. My buddy Thor, one of my best friends. We were talking the other day about him coming on, and today presented itself, so we're going to do it. Before we get started, obviously got to thank everybody that helps work with this podcast. If I sound a little less enthusiastic, it's been a long day at work, very long day at work. So I'm a little tired, but got to push through and get to it. So everybody that helps, make this podcast happen, we'll make it kind of quick. We got VPA, my broadhead of choice. If you're in the market for new broadheads, go to vparchery.com, check out everything they have. And then, use our promo code at checkout. It is SEBH10, and that'll save you 10% site-wide. Next up is going to be Osteo Gear. We still have that code that saves you 15% with them. It is SEBH, and that goes for the entire website. Just make sure you put that in a little promo code bar at checkout. I love that camo brand, man. I cannot wait to use it this season. Speaking of can't wait to use things this season, Summit Tree Stands. Y'all have been killing that code. Please keep doing it. Please, please, please. Jake and them have been honestly shocked at how much y'all have been using that code, so keep it up. I love Summit. It's my tree stand of choice. And that code I'm talking about, in case you're new to the podcast, it is SEBH15. And that saves you 15% site-wide. That's tree stands and everything else. Next up, like I said, I'm going to make it fast. We got Obsession Bows. You can see my HP33 back there. Awesome little bow. It is a shooter, man. It's a shooter. They have some really cool new 2024 lineup bows coming out. They got the Bone, which just started shipping to the dealers. They've got the Ultra Mag 360, the Ultra Mag NT, and then they also have the Vengeance, I believe the Vengeance NT and the Vengeance 360, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that. Also got to give a shout out to Scout Tech. My Scout Tech cameras have been doing really, really good. If you're in the market for new cameras, go to Scout Tech's website, scouttech.com, I believe, and check out everything they have. Get yourself hooked up. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, man, Ace Hardware and Social Circle, love those guys. Some of my really good friends. They have helped me work on my own bow and been learning a lot of stuff with those guys, so shout out to them. You can definitely trust them with your equipment. And, I try to push them every week. I'm trying my best. Next up is going to be Dialed Archery. Working on trying to get a code for you guys. Can't really promise anything yet. Talking to Scott. He's super busy. So once I have that, I will let you guys know. And then when, if you want a new dial before season, you can use that code and save some money. I just have to get the code made. Gosh, dude, who else? Let's see. Huffbuck, Mr. Dustin Huff, man. That's my boy. He's probably going to come up in this episode. There's going to be, a few things that we talk about that may or may not relate to him. So we'll see. It has nothing to do anything bad. It's just comparing deer is really all it is. And I guess, man, I know I'm forgetting somebody, but that's probably it. Always, if you don't know Jesus, please get to know him, read your Bible, open your hearts to it. Changed my life, man. Life has been crazy lately, and I would not be able to even function without him. So yeah, please just give it a shot. Okay, the world's going crazy, and we need him now more than ever. So yeah, I guess that's getting the intro out of the way. Quick little intro. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and we got some bangers coming this summer. So make sure you stay tuned. Go follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of that, man. Things are happening. So enough of that. And you know what? Let's get started with Mr. Thor Nichols. BS session number, God knows what. All right, y'all. We got my boy, the big red machine, Mr. Giant but Gentle, Mr. Thor Nichols, man. And this was last minute. This was definitely last minute.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that. I had someone lined up and they had to cancel like 2 hours ago. And I was thinking, I was like, well, I could either not put one out, or I know me and Thor were talking about doing one. This is the perfect time. So I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, I
Um,
appreciate you having me, man.
yeah, dude, of course. It's always fun when I get to get one of my buddies on here and not worry about, having to talk about really anything specific, just kind of
Oh
cover.
yeah.
But there is a few things we want to talk about. We just discussed it a little bit. Um, I think the first thing. So first off, what's been going on with you before we get into the dirty stuff? What's
Uh,
what's been happening?
man, much like always when I get on here, I've been working a bunch. I think since the last time I was on the podcast, I started a new job. Um, doing the same thing, still turning wrenches on diesel trucks, just for a different company. I'm home a little more, so that's nice. I traded a little bit of pay for being at home more with the family, so um, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices to be here with your kids more and be able to spend time with the family more. Um, because our littlest one just turned 9 months old. So
Man,
yeah, looking at
still a
nine. Yeah,
baby. That's
yeah,
crazy. It's been 9 months, dude.
yeah,
That's wild. I think one of actually your first episode. I'm pretty sure she wasn't even born yet. Actually, I know she wasn't even born
yeah,
yet because
yeah.
that was what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. So the life's been good, man. We did a little bit of turkey hunting. Like when I say a little bit, I mean I turkey hunted twice. Um,
At
I
least you
got on a
went.
Yeah, that's true. I got on a gobbler one morning and chased him down. I went across the creek and I was hunting near a lake and I went on the other side of the area he was on because I was on basically there was a slough from the lake that run up in between the land that I was on and he was on the other side of the slough on a point. So I had to go all the way back down towards my truck, cross over, and then run down the slough that he was in. And when I got down there, he had already got quiet. He quit gobbling. So
Gosh, dude, it's
um,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Flat out turkey hunt.
yeah. It's I like doing it here and there. Last year I did a lot more than I did this year. I just didn't have a lot of time this year. My fiance, bless her heart, she's been sick a bunch here and there. She had to have emergency gallbladder surgery, so
Mm.
um, we've been dealing with that, and her body just adjusting and things like that, and um, so we've been to the hospital a couple times and the doctor appointments and stuff like that. But she just seems to be healing well, so all in all, things are getting better. And right now, just trying to gear up, focus on the upcoming deer season. I got a new lease. I will be hunting a club in Hancock County, Georgia this year. Um, pretty tickled about that. I have not even went to the property yet. I'll be going towards the end of the month or the beginning of next month. I got to get with the club president. Me and him were kind of working on setting up a good time for me to go down there and meet him and look at the property and make sure I'm gonna like it and everything. But based off of what I've been told, is some really good deer on this place, and it's very family oriented. They have camp there, but it's uh, not a bunch of wild stuff going on. There ain't 30 guys trying to be crammed into a 700-acre piece of property and all that stuff. There's definitely room for the amount of guys we have, and it, he said there's some hogs occasionally, stuff like that.
Okay.
And I've been told that there's a duck swamp on the place, so I got excited about that because, as you know, I picked up duck hunting 2 seasons ago. So
You and ducks, man, I swear.
yeah, um, But we're super excited. I'm gonna try and get my daughter her first deer this year down there, and pretty jacked for that. I'm getting ready for bow season. Getting ready to get a new bow.
Do we
I've
want to
been
say
talking.
what bow, or are we going to leave that?
I'll just go ahead and say it because I'm pretty sure I was gonna wait, but I've been talking to a couple people about it, and I'm pretty well had said it already in the group chat. But the Massey's lift, everybody's been ranting and raving about. Um, Bowhunter Supply Store near me has one in Bottomland, so I'm gonna be going and getting one very soon. And it it looks slick. I am gonna shoot it. And everybody's like, "How do you know you want that bow? You ain't even shot it." I've had like a bunch of different bows. I've had Matthews. I've shot Tri-X's and stuff like that. And based off of what everybody's saying, it is as smooth or smoother than them. I'm a Hoyt guy. I do love my Hoyts, but I've had them all. I've had PSC. I've had Matthews. I ain't paid by nobody, so I will shoot whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing. I can kind of do whatever I want to, and don't got to worry about stepping on no toes. So, um, looking at getting that soon and getting it set up. Gonna put the dialed archery. I always probably say the name wrong, but that I want to say it's the Axros or Axris
Arxos.
Arxos. That's it. I butcher the
Yeah,
name on that thing.
yeah, it's all
Um,
good.
they started, as you guys know, you how long you've had yours for a couple
Uh,
months now, right?
about almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's been a minute.
yeah, Eric got his, and I when a couple years ago, I even went through my phone the other day. I was showing somebody some pictures of like bow stuff, and I found a picture I had screenshotted when they first dropped the design and they were coming out with the original design. And I was like, oh, I want one of those when they came to market. And I just never got one. Um, but they have one in Bottomland, which is what the lift's going to be in. So I was like, I got to match
Oh yeah.
that lift. It'll match good. I've heard it's a great site. So
I mean, if you paint your cams orange, we'll basically be twinning.
yeah, pretty much. Um, but yeah, man, that's about what I've got going on so far. Looking
Yeah.
into did some me and a friend at work, we were talking about the new regulations for deer season that Georgia proposed. A lot of people do or don't know about them, but it more so affected the either sex days as they were extending them for. There was a couple counties that they didn't do it in, but they specify which counties and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, I think over like 80% of the state of Georgia, your either sex days for rifle season will start when rifle season starts. It ends when rifle season ends instead of breaking it up like they used to.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we're bow hunting, that still runs either sex no matter what. So that's always been that way. But
So the whole
um,
season's basically either sex now instead of
yeah,
having
regardless of
to double check.
yeah, so regardless of there, and like I said, the specified counties they have it listed
Mm-hmm.
already on there, but and they'll come out with that map sometime this summer. They always do when they drop the new dates and set everything in stone. But they had meetings about it, and then they released a proposal form the other day. So it's been interesting to see because I put in my input. I try to
Mm-hmm.
give my feedback to DNR on how I feel about things whenever they do. Uh, whenever they do they send out like a e form now where you can uh, send in your input now just through the website. You don't even have to be in person at a meeting.
Yeah.
However, I encourage anybody to strongly go to one of these meetings if you feel a certain way because they would love to hear it honestly. So
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a long conversation yesterday. Um, I did my daughter's career day thing, and it's like I told you, I should have done this instead of my actual job because
yeah.
this is way more interesting, at least in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But what's funny about it is the table they set up for me was right next to DNR. Like DNR was up there.
Oh nice.
And so I was talking with them about a bunch of stuff. And yeah, man, been getting a little bit more acquainted with DNR here lately, just because, being in the outdoor industry now, like I feel like being good with them and knowing them. And if I have any questions, I can call them up and be like, hey, you know, this says this, but what does it mean?
Right.
So I'm glad that like I saw those proposals. Honestly, man, I feel like Georgia's game laws are just there's really no need to change them. The only thing I would change
Yeah.
personally, and I know you and I have talked about this some, but the only thing I would change is probably give us like, you know, mid-August or late August, that 3-day velvet hunt for
Yeah, that would be
private land,
sweet.
right? Like, because
Yeah.
just like what Tennessee does, because I mean, yeah, it'll get the pressure started a little bit sooner and a lot of, target. Like, I will say this, deer are much easier to kill early season than they are the rest of the whole year,
Yeah, they're on a
Um,
summer pattern, and
yeah.
they're
So,
really readable during that summer pattern.
yeah.
Especially if you're given any sort of food, you got food plots going, coming in and starting to grow and things like that. You definitely get them deer very readable.
Hmm.
When I killed my biggest buck 2 seasons ago, he it was early season. It was the second week of deer season, I believe.
Yeah. We killed our deer on the
Yeah,
same weekend.
because I
And
shot
I
him.
got him because of
Shot
patterning.
him on like I shot him on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was like middle of the week
Oh,
after work,
yeah. Yeah, that's right.
and but he was still doing some predictable stuff because he came to that spot 3 different times at the same time, back to back
Hmm.
in the last 3 nights. The third night, I was there in a climber. He messed around. He found out. So, but that's probably as hot as it is, probably one of my favorite times to hunt, just because the deer are a little more predictable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I prefer early season. Like, I've said it before on the podcast. I hate the rut. I've only
Oh
had
yeah.
one good experience with it. Maybe you could consider two, but
So
um,
that's one thing about this new property too. I've heard from I know two of the club members, and one of them he was talking to me. He said um, the rut down there is crazy. He was like,
really.
we have a decent amount of activity, so I'm
Well,
excited to see that. Maybe if I get myself a new GoPro and stuff this year, I may throw it up on the stand with me or on my bow or my hat or whatever. I don't know yet,
yeah.
but maybe get some good action and some chasing and stuff. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'd
So
be smart, to start documenting that stuff because, as we know, there's a story going on right now where I don't know if you want to get into it, but
yeah,
I have some opinions, and I know you do too. And
yeah,
for those who don't know, I'm talking about the CJ Alexander buck. And I will say, before we dive headfirst into this rabbit hole, none of us know anything more than what is out there.
right.
I have talked to CJ. I'll give my opinion on that, but
Oh, have you talked to him since we spoke on it?
no, I
Oh,
haven't. I don't see, my thing with that is I don't want to badger the dude because,
yeah, he's got a lot going on right now.
well, there's that, but it's also like he probably can't legally talk about it, especially now.
Oh yeah, now
So
that
what's the
there's
point? You know,
now that there's indictment charges.
he's got 23 charges, just him. Then his
Yeah,
buddies and his buddy's brother, and I think they've got 8, and his sister's got 1. Like,
something like that. Yeah, it's
so,
crazy.
so what's your opinion on that whole situation before I start blabbing on about it? Because I do
Well,
have some stuff to
I
say.
I hate I hate that it's happening to the guy, but at the same time, a deer of that caliber, um, man, like it's if you're gonna do it wrong, this is gonna sound weird, and people are gonna be like, I don't want to send the wrong message, but if you're gonna do it wrong, I probably wouldn't do it on that caliber of deer. I mean, geez Louise, because you're drawing so much attention to yourself immediately. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm
biggest
not
gross typical that
condoning
I've
doing it.
ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not condoning doing it wrong
No,
either.
no,
I'm
of
not
course
saying go out and poach deer and all that stuff. Um, I, I'm sure there's going to be people that do it till the end of time.
not. Hmm.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
People are going to lie. People are going to poach deer. People are going to poach animals in general. we've had it on an old club I was in Heard County, Georgia. We called a guy leaving the club with a deer on the back of a side by side one day. Luckily, I believe DNR was called, and I want to say that they got it situated and handled, but it was just um, somebody somewhere works their butt off to hunt that animal and feed and chase that deer, and there's always the chance that they lose that to a poacher, and that's all of us, law abiding guys understand that, and we know in the back of our mind that there's always a sliver of a chance that that deer's taken illegally, unfortunately, especially when they get as big as that is.
Yeah.
But I hate it that he's going through it. But at the same time, like if he truly illegally did this, then he deserves every bit of what ends up coming of this, because maybe this will be a good lesson for the other guys that are out here sniping deer or shooting them from a truck or a van with a crossbow or doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about it and joke about it all day long, but like really doing it, that's where it's a whole different ball game then, and you're opening up a big can of worms there by doing something like that, because I mean they can not only can they confiscate the animal, they can confiscate the weapon. You lose your
They did.
rights. They
That's the
no you
thing.
Yeah, I'm saying they did, but anybody, if
Oh
you do
yeah.
this and you get caught, they can confiscate the weapon that was used, the animal, all of the meat, the hide. I mean, every little thing about the animal.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know or my knowledge, they can come in and take other stuff, especially if they assume that it's been used in a poaching
Mm-hmm.
manner or it's been poached. Um, so if they're like, oh, we have a lead that says you shot that buck, also, well, they're taking it too, and anything involved with it, you lose all your rights. You're going to lose your hunting. It can be it turns into a big deal, and everybody is innocent until proven guilty. All that, so don't get me wrong. The guy still got to go through the full trial, I believe, and everything. I mean, I haven't looked into it since we talked about it the other day when it was released that there was the indictment charges. But from what I know, and indictment charges are, I mean, that typically means they've got some pretty hardy evidence
Yep.
that supports their decision of these charges.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
that whole situation, dude, like the the main reason it bothers me, aside from the fact you poached a deer, right? Like he
yeah,
literally, I'm not saying he did. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that he did it. I've gone back and forth. When I first heard the story, back in November, I was like, oh wow, this, good dude, good kid, preaching the word and like, talking about God openly, and he killed this giant buck. Like, what a blessing, dude. That's awesome. And then
yeah,
a couple weeks later, it comes out that they seized the rack and they have reason to believe that he poached it. And so I instantly was like, okay, well, what do they have? And nobody knew anything. Right. And I
right,
even reached out to him and was like, look, man, I don't know whether or not this is true, but you know, from listening to your story, yeah, there's a few things that I'm like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I
yeah,
know Hunter's Advantage did a episode on this deer, like a full episode on the whole situation. So I'm not trying to like, ride that wave that they're making with it. But, I know Christian, I know Jake, I know they're not going to care about us talking about it.
right,
I agree with them. Like he's either innocent or he's the most narcissistic person in the world. And I'm quoting Christian on that. Like it's
yeah,
true. Cause like what really fires me up about it is when you do something like that and then you come on a podcast or you do a article or you do an interview or something, right? And you're going to be pushing like, oh, God bless me with this, God did this, God did that. If you poached it, I mean, why it makes me mad that somebody
yeah,
would bring, God into that. And I understand like, and I'm not questioning his faith. I'm not questioning any of that. It's just if that does come out that he actually did do it, it's like, bro, why even? Like, was it a sympathy thing? I
yeah,
just don't understand that. And I will give him credit though. He's still holding to his guns that it's all legal. But
Right.
from
And
what I
that,
understand,
maybe somehow it is,
well,
Um,
the thing I will say is all of this, or I'm not gonna say all of this, but there was something in the article talking about everything that's happening where they said that they have um, evidence related to his phone records
yeah,
that leads them to basically say you were not where you said you were, that you
right.
staged this deer and all this other stuff. And that has always been what I've argued since the beginning of
Mhm.
this. If they go in his phone and they track where it was,
Yeah,
because he claimed he didn't have it with him and it was at his sister's place or at his house or some place that's not where this deer, was supposedly at,
right,
you're in the clear, at least as far as that's concerned, because they can't fully pinpoint where you were.
right.
And it doesn't seem like that's the case, man. Like you were saying, if you're going to go out and do it wrong, don't kill basically the biggest typical we've ever seen. And
Yeah,
then if you do kill that deer, don't go on podcasts and do interviews and all this stuff and talk about it.
yeah. Don't tell the world. That's
Yeah,
all.
like it just I do have to give him credit. If he did shoot it illegally, that's a ballsy thing to do. Is go out there and just be like, "Hey
Yeah,
guys,
because
I shot this legally. Here's the deer," and then
yeah,
expect nothing to happen. So,
if it was illegally taken, uh, I don't think it was worth your 15 minutes of fame, bud. Because it's gonna cost you a lot more than 15 minutes. I can tell you that right now. Um,
well, and the thing is, like me and Dustin talked about it, because Dustin killed his deer legally. He had the same thing kind of happen. Like people were saying, "Oh, he poached it. Oh, he
yeah.
trespassed or whatever."
Oh,
But
and yeah. I mean, when you shoot a deer of that caliber, again, there's gonna be a lot of rumors.
oh
There's gonna
yeah,
be a
there
lot
always
of
is.
chatty Cathys and talking and oh I've seen that deer before. He must have poached it. Well, that a deer travels, folks.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. But that's why it's always good to cover your bases, have your permissions. I mean, and
Well, and
this,
that's
you
another
already
thing. He didn't have permission
right, and you
or a
already know that,
license.
right?
So,
Here in the state of Georgia, even if you're unless it's family land, unless it's family owned and you're directly family related.
mhm.
If I came to your house per se and hunted your backyard, it don't matter if it's 12, 10 acres, 30 acres. If you're giving me permission, I kill a deer there, bada bing, bada boom, it's fine. But somebody says, well, he didn't have permission, and DNR investigates it, and you didn't ever give me written permission. I can still get in trouble for that.
Mhm. That's the
Um,
same way up there.
you have to have handwritten, or handwritten, or like typed up with
Yeah.
signature or whatever. You have to have some sort of paper permission to be on the property you're on hunting.
And I'll
And
give him credit. Like if he didn't know that, that's fine. But
yeah,
he, from their records, this comes straight from ODNR. He did not have a legal hunting license.
yeah,
That in itself, that in itself
uh,
is like, okay, either you didn't have a license and you were hunting anyway, and this deer did happen to show up,
yeah,
or everything they're saying is true, is the way that I look at it, because it's like,
yeah,
bro, that's a gigantic deer. And I hate, I hate that a deer like that has to be part of this story, because one thing people have been saying is like, would they be throwing the book at him if it was just a spike? And I don't think
right,
it would. I think they're making an example of him. And the fact that, if you go on CJ's Instagram, he's got a bunch of stuff up on his, story and all this other stuff claiming to be innocent. And that's fine. That's
yeah,
cool. But you're also kind of enticing them like, hey, you guys won't get me. And it seems like they are. I mean,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
it's crazy.
it's not
So
looking good right now. So all we can do is follow along and
yeah. And
keep
and I
our
will say
work.
this. So I don't mean to cut you off, but before I
Oh,
forget,
you
I have talked to CJ.
yeah,
And this was months ago, like probably in December or January. But I talked to him and our conversation was really good. I did ask him to come on the podcast. He said and this is, I'm not taking this personal, but he did say like, oh, well, I'm thinking I'm maybe going to do like one more, and then I'm going to be done, and I'll just take it to shows and stuff once all this is over. And it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting because as soon as that happened, a week or two later, he was on another podcast. And I was like, okay, if you don't want to come on here, that's fine, dude. I'm not going to ask you a bunch of questions like, oh, did you really poach it? Did you really kill it? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. But to say that you don't want to be in the limelight, and then a week or two later, and I don't know when that one was recorded, but he's done
Right.
a few more after that. And I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
is it because this podcast isn't as big as those other ones and you're just trying to get the notoriety, which is fine. I get it.
Oh yeah.
Or is it because you know some stuff that nobody else knows? But if that was the case, why would you go on another podcast?
What you
Bigger
what you do,
podcast.
what you do is after everything's all said and done, you have him on and then be like, so what?
Well, depending on the
Here's the
charges,
story.
nobody might be able to get them.
Here's the story of why or why not.
Yeah, right. I thought about reaching out
Um,
after I saw that, the 2 episodes he did. I don't remember what podcast it was, but he went on one and was defending himself, and then he went on another, I think, and was, talking about it and kind of giving an update. And I thought about it. I thought about reaching out and being like, hey man, I thought you weren't gonna do these.
yeah.
Like, and again, I'm not if I ask someone to come on the podcast and they either ghost me or they just say flat out they don't want to do it,
Yeah.
fine. I don't take it personal. I get it.
Yeah. No skin
But
off your back.
yeah, but it's like I just can't wrap my head around why you would do that. Like
Oh yeah.
kill a deer like that. If again, and I'm just saying this enough so it's clear so no one clips this, but if he did kill it legal or illegally, why would you go on some of the biggest podcasts, talk to some of the biggest magazine companies and or like article companies or whatever in the industry and try to pass
Yeah.
it off like it was legal? Because DNR is going to come and find out what really happened. And it's just
Well, and that, in my opinion, um, if it was illegally harvested, uh, the reason he did that is to make it sound as legal as possible because he didn't want to be investigated or whatever the case may be. I don't know a lot about the guy. I just know about what happened, and I have done a little bit of research on the case since then, and obviously the most recent charges that were added and all that. I've looked into that a little bit, but you know, I don't know. We're gonna have, like I said, we'll have to see how this thing plays out, and um, I hope whatever it is, I hope the truth comes out in the end, and we can all kind of, get some insight. And
yeah.
the big thing in the hunting industry, obviously, everybody's got like. I know not a lot of people are talking about it right this second, but then again, at the same time, a lot of people are because of the new recent charges that have been, brought against him. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of people are watching this, seeing how it goes down. So, I think it will be
Yeah.
interesting to find out what happens in the end for sure.
The bad thing about it, man, is it just puts another bad light on hunters. You got
Oh
these
yeah,
guys who see a giant deer. I mean, I've seen big deer. You've seen big deer. I've never once thought, oh, let me just come up here in the middle of the night and kill it and try to say that,
like walking
you
up the
know,
Cage Cove and just trying to
yeah,
whack
right?
one.
Like,
It's like,
yeah, I mean, it just
wow.
doesn't make any sense. I
Yeah,
understand, like, losing your freedom for a deer is not worth it. And losing your
well,
hunting rights for a deer is not worth it. I don't care
I
how big
mean,
it
it
is.
seems so backwards because you want to hunt that animal, so why lose? Like, do what you can to kill it. Like, try and get permission and stuff. And I know, but you're not, man. You're not always going to get permission.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always going to get a yes. You might be watching on the neighbor's yard. You might be watching it on the neighbor's property for 3 years, and he never crosses your line, and the neighbor just will not let you hunt it because so and so hunts it already, or because they don't like hunting, or because whatever it is. The best thing you can do is try and get permission all the way around. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't, then it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah. I
and
just,
sometimes there's there's probably thousands of deer that I'll never shoot that I've seen over the years. I'd probably say I wouldn't say thousands. Definitely hundreds. I mean, up in the hundreds for sure.
Hmm.
I'm sure it'll turn into thousands over the years, but there's deer that I've seen that I'll never shoot, that I'll never have permission to shoot, or but it's not worth going and whacking him out of my truck or hunting the property he's on
Yeah.
um, to get him. I mean,
Well, it's
at that point, it's a little bit of an. It's got to be. I'm addicted to this stuff, but
mhm.
like putting a deer on the wall is not. I don't know. I don't get. So if I kill a deer, I want to be able to show it off. So I want to make
Exactly.
sure it's done right.
Yeah.
If I do it wrong, I'm not gonna want to show this thing to
Yep.
nobody.
Well, and that's the thing is he probably. I mean, they were saying on Hunter's Advantage when they were talking about this that like a deer like that you could kill, right?
Yeah,
And hide it.
yeah.
And when they said that, and the thing is, like a deer like that, people know about it, right?
Oh,
A deer like that does not go unnoticed usually,
yeah.
and people would notice that it's gone, and then they would wonder, like, oh, where's it at? And anytime someone came over, you'd have to move the mount, or you couldn't even take it to a taxidermist because a deer like that,
There's
taxidermist,
been a
yeah,
Yeah,
like
and a lot of
they
people don't
will
realize
be
how often
talking,
or checks upon a taxidermist.
yeah.
Like,
It
I
just
don't.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's wild though. It's a crazy situation, and
Yeah, it's a situation I never want to be in, and I know
yeah,
I'll never be in it. But it's just like it kills me because I know some things behind the scenes that if that deer was legal, it could have really helped out a lot of people, including CJ. And he
yeah.
claims, that like last year he only made like 4 grand in the entire year. And it's like, bro, a deer like that will change your life. But the problem is, and maybe look, maybe
And I want to know what the heck he's doing because if he only made $4,000 in a year,
uh,
uh,
man, he
and
said it.
he's still able to float. Like,
Yeah, he
I'd love
said
to
it.
know.
I don't remember. But and the thing is, I'm not trying to talk like on the dude's personal life. I don't
No,
know him.
I don't
I
know.
don't
Like,
know,
yeah,
But like maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was tough times and he just happened to be driving along and saw the deer. It was like, oh, meal ticket, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah, maybe so.
and I get it. But the thing is now you're facing the entire book,
Yeah,
basically. And like, look, I'll say this. I hope, and especially if he listens to this, I hope it was legit. I
yeah,
do.
me too. Me too,
But
man.
but I will also say this. If it's not, then he deserves everything that's coming to him because
Yeah.
a deer like that deserves a good story, not to be smudged out and probably honestly after this happens and this is over with, probably never seen again.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean the deer was a giant and it deserved way better than this.
They can at least throw it in a Cabela's or something.
Yeah, but the problem is, man, a deer like that, it's always gonna have that mark on its name now. It's gonna be known as the Alexander buck that was poached. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe his story, but he's either my age or our age or a little bit younger. And knowing the
Yeah.
generation that we are and the one that's below us, you don't go into the woods without your phone, right?
Yeah,
You never
I
do that.
rarely do.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done it. Why would you go in the woods without your phone?
I've
And
done it
if
on
you forget
accident,
it,
and but
well, the
other
thing
than
is, like,
that,
if you forget it, I understand, you
yeah,
know. But I mean, come on, dude. We all are attached to our phones these days.
yeah,
It's just the truth. Like, you can't convince me that a kid
Hmm.
my age, because I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm on my phone a lot. I'm on my phone all the time, right?
yeah,
So
we all are.
yeah, and I keep it with me in case anything ever happened. I can call someone and say, hey, I fell out of a tree, or
Yeah,
I want to get a deer and I fell down this ravine or um, I'm in this ditch somewhere or something, right?
right, right, yeah,
So I don't know, man. It's wild. But there's some other stuff that's going on in the industry right now that I think we should touch on and possibly wrap up on. Um, I hate that this is a quick one, but we kind of have last minute and everything.
yeah,
But a certain person that we know, um, who is in the broadhead game seems to be trying to fire some people up.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying any names. I'm not knocking anything. That's not my place. But I will say that the claim that was made was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And for those who know, for those who don't know, reach out to me and I'll tell you personally. But so the claim was that a specific broadhead was better than the Mega Meat.
Yeah.
And my argument to that is the Mega Meat is one of, if not the highest selling broadhead of the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't just get there by being the crappiest one on the market. I don't care
Right.
what the marketing is. I don't care what the pricing is. There's no way that happens.
Yeah.
And again, working with VPA, none of this affects me at all. Right.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm not worried about it. But Andy was talking to us about it. And like he said, I hate when people bash other companies like that.
Yeah.
Just to try and make yours look good. Like if that's a marketing scheme, terrible marketing. Because I've been talking to a lot of people about this.
Yeah. It seems a little backwards.
Well, whoops. And the thing is too, man, like guys I know that work in shops and own shops are like, we're not going to carry that because of that. Because of what's going on with it. We're not going to carry that specific.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, see, there you go. That's what happens when you do that. So I mean, like, what's your opinion on it? Like, you shoot the Mega Meat, I've shot the Mega Meat. We both like it.
Yeah.
So,
I think,
what's up?
I mean, I think you gotta have a better approach. In personal opinion, I don't think tearing down one company is going to help promote yours or vice versa. I am nobody, I'm just a blue collar guy. I deer hunt, duck hunt, I fish. I'm a family man. I ain't paid by nobody or none of that stuff. Probably never will be. But, if I do one day, hey, that'll be the bee's knees because I would, that's what I've always wanted my whole life. But, family comes first. So, but anyways, I've shot the Mega Meats. I've shot Swackers. I have shot a couple other heads, but I've only ever killed deer with like a Mega Meat and a Swacker. Believe it or not, that's just what I've always like. I shot Swackers forever when I first started bow hunting.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the rage train at the time when the Swackers come out. Everybody told me I was crazy. I didn't like the rage. My buddy had lost a deer to one. Whenever he would shoot a deer, it would demolish the freaking head. I was like, man, I don't. For what the hype was at the time and the price and all, I was like, I just go get Swackers. At the time, man, you go get Swackers 3-pack at Walmart for $25. They're about 30 now, 35 maybe. I mean, inflation, yada yada. We all know that rabbit hole, but
well, that's good for broadheads too, because some of these other ones are like,
oh, dude, they're like 60, $70 a freaking 3-pack.
I will
like,
say, yeah, like I will say, VPA's prices are higher than like a Schwacker pack.
Yeah.
The difference there is you're getting something you can reuse,
Yeah, of course. That's that's also a fixed head.
Yeah, like it's a totally different game.
The fixed head prices, a lot of them are appropriate, in my opinion. There's some brands out there that I'm not naming because honestly, I can't even remember some of them. I just know the prices I've seen for a 3-pack of fixed heads, and I was like, I'm about to drop my phone. I was like, and these dudes are buying them. Yeah. And I said, that's why they're that price, because these dudes are buying them.
Well, and the thing is, this whole situation with this specific broadhead is like, you're going to go after a mechanical broadhead. Yet the broadhead that is claimed to be better is a fixed blade. And I've shot it. I tested it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I shot it 3 times. And the third shot, the main blades were curled forward because it was shooting into foam. And I've never had a broadhead do that. I've had them break. Like I've shot a rage into foam and it broke the blade. I've broken blades on Mega Meats pulling them out, not going into it, but that's because the blades are, so long.
Yeah.
And I was telling a buddy of ours about my experience with it. And I was like, yeah, those main blades curl forward. And then when I tried screwing the damn thing on, the little bleeder blades kept falling out. Like I almost said to hell with it because I'm like, I can't even get this thing on the arrow. Why am I going to shoot it?
Yeah.
And so And that was what it had to be at least a year or two ago.
I think it
But
was 2 seasons ago, I think.
yeah, but it's like I understand wanting to promote. That's fine. Like you
Oh yeah.
should do that, but don't go bashing other people, like especially them,
Yeah.
especially them. It
Well, I have.
just it bothers me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Like I said, I wasn't a Rage fan, but I didn't like come out of nowhere and bash them. Not that they
Mhm.
would care. Who am I? But like, what good is it gonna do me? Everybody's
Yeah.
gonna look at me like, "Geez, dude, like, just shoot what you want." In my opinion, like that's what it boils down to. Do what you want, promote your stuff, promote the company that's paying you, whatever. As an
Hmm.
archer, an outdoorsman, a hunter, whatever companies you have your agreements with, like promote them. Obviously,
Yeah.
just that's would make sense. But as the owner of any of these companies, you can't. I mean, you don't see Swacker coming out. I mean, they've all had their own test where they went against all the other competitor heads. They don't say names, but they all know who each other is when you
Yeah.
screw the freaking heads on. It's like, oh, that's a rage, yada yada.
Yeah.
And they've done their test with their archers that they paid to do their test and all those videos. And obviously, the provided broadhead or that company that is doing their test, their broadhead generally comes out on top.
Yeah. They're not going to put a video of it out when
Right.
the
And
broadhead
make it
does
look like
worse.
crap.
Yeah.
But they all do it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they don't just be out there blowing. That Schwacker didn't come out and be like, "We're better than Rage," and Mega Meat G5 didn't come forward and be like, "We're better than Schwacker.
Yeah.
We're better than whoever." I mean, sheesh. So if you at the end of the day, if you're just like, "Hey, this is what we're offering. This is my company. This is what we're offering. These are our tests,
Hmm.
whatever," and then that's one thing. Shoot, that's the way they all do it. But
Yeah.
if you come out and just like, well, these are the worst broadheads ever, and these are better.
And
That's just an
basing it,
opinion. Like that's
well,
always going to be
basing
an
it
opinion.
on a video, and I don't mean to
Yeah.
talk over you, but dude, I've got to say this. Basing that opinion on a video, and I'm not knocking the kid that made the video. I watched it a while back. You're testing in mediums that mega meat is made for a live animal. It's not made for
Oh,
anything else.
yeah. I shot a.
And you're gonna dry
Shot,
fire your bow,
I
like
mean,
in the video.
I've shot 2 deer now with a mega meat, and I hope to shoot quite a few more.
Yeah.
Both deer pass through. The mega meat is the one of the only reasons that my big 9 point died because I caught the top of the lungs coming through because I
Hmm.
shot him high.
Yeah.
The expansion when it went through him is the reason he is dead. And I am lucky and grateful for that because, her I had a little margin of error, shot a little high. He was a little closer than I thought, whatever.
Yeah.
And my angle was pretty down because I think I was about 20 foot up. So
Mhm.
he was at about 15 yards and I was pegging him I was thinking he was at 20. But and I shot into the ground. I pulled it out. I bought the blade pack. I threw
Mhm.
fresh blades and a collar on it, and I shot a freaking deer with it last year, same broadhead.
Yeah. So it's
And
not one and done broadhead.
not fully, as long as what is it, the feral? Is that what I don't want to sound dumb because I didn't want to say the wrong name, but
No,
as long
you're
as
right.
the feral is still in line and straight,
Hmm.
you should be good at the end of the day. And that's what they claim, and so far that's what I've experienced.
Yeah. Well, and you said it perfectly too, because my experience with the mega meat was great up until
Yeah,
last year. But again, this it's the same story. I shot two deer with one with the
yeah,
exact same broadhead, and I changed the blades, but I didn't change the collar.
yeah. You
And
got to
that's the
change the
only reason
collars
it
in
opened
there.
up.
Yeah, there's plastic collars, so the little pinchers that they have there that pinch the blade to keep it connected. They expand, they break, they wear out, they bend. They're just plastic, obviously. So they recommend when you change the blades, always change your collar, just because
Hmm.
it's just like doing brakes on your car.
Yep.
If you're gonna change. One side, you should probably do both. Okay,
Well, and if you
same
change the
thing.
pads, you should change those little clips out too, which I
Yeah,
hate doing. I always just
exactly.
clean them
Nobody
up,
likes doing
but
them,
still,
but stuff like that.
yeah.
There's little things included for a reason. So at the end of the day, man, uh, being in the industry and me being somebody from the outside looking in, uh, you can't do that,
I
or you
agree.
shouldn't. You shouldn't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
and the person who did it, I mean, I have a lot of love for her, honestly.
I
So
think he's a great dude. I mean, I've talked to him before, and
yeah, but it's
I have
just
nothing
like,
against him, but it's like, why,
and
why?
and and maybe it was just to get people talking. I
And
don't
that
know.
dude, he did the same thing last year, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what happened. And
but yeah, the way people were talking, from what I saw, wasn't a good thing.
no, it
So,
wasn't. It
so
wasn't. That's the thing that gets me is like, if you're gonna talk about it, don't go out there and bash them.
yeah.
Make a video. See, and that's the one thing that I always love watching is broadhead test videos. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
care
they're
what
fun.
medium you test it in. I know like Ranch Fairies said, the mediums we test these things in, it's not conducive to an actual animal, which is
No,
true. But if you have like my favorite test is when you've got deer scapula with skin over it,
yeah,
you've got something behind it like jello or something that's not going to constrict that broadhead, that's literally going to act like the inside of an animal.
yeah.
That's the best type of test. And if you take a mega meat and this other broadhead and you say, okay, we're going to shoot this. I mean, first off, I can tell you right away the whole difference is going to be insane, but that fixed blade is going
Oh
to penetrate better. There's no
yeah,
argument. There's no argument.
that's
But
just a fact. Yeah,
you're comparing apples to oranges because you've got a fixed blade compared to a mechanical, and you can't.
right.
And it's like I said earlier, the video that was posted, the kid was not using, in my opinion, was not using a good medium to test it in, and he dry fired his bow. If you dry fire your bow while you're doing a video and you put that in there, yeah, okay, cool. It gives you likes and clicks and stuff, but
Yeah,
well, you lose all credibility with me because, like, yeah, it happens, but don't post that.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Probably, probably want to trim that out of the video, but
exactly. Like, if you're gonna post something trying to make a broadhead look good or bad, don't if like okay, attack, I clipped onto my bow, went to draw back, wasn't fully clipped on, punched myself in the face. Okay, fine. If I was filming,
yeah.
it happens. If I was filming, yeah, I'd put it in there because it's funny, but I'm also not telling you, hey, this release is great. And then you
I've
see
also
me
had
hit
a
myself.
release break, and I socked the crap out of myself one night in
Yeah.
an indoor archery tournament.
Oh God.
Yeah, everybody was like, "Ooh!" I was like,
Yeah.
"Ow!" I
I
went and
just
got my
don't.
wrist strap and completed the tournament. But yeah, I don't remember what brand. It wasn't even about the brand, but I don't remember what release it was. I just know it was a thumb release,
Hmm.
and she just gave up that night. So I bought my True Ball Fang 4.
Hmm.
That's what I'm shooting with now. But
Yeah, True Ball's amazing, dude. That's what I've got. I kind of want
that's
to
a
go
good
to a
one.
hook style instead of the dual caliper
Yeah,
jaw, but it's been
that's
working.
what I'm shooting is hook style. And it's got a little sliding locker that goes over the back. So you'll hook your D loop and then you'll push the locker back and you can let go. You can just let it, you could swing that bow all over and it won't come off. Um, the
Hmm.
locker does move back, but it really takes you have to manually move it back.
Yeah.
So it's got like a
Yeah.
little ball bearing in there with a spring that locks it into position.
Yeah.
And it's been a great one for me. Like I obviously since I was shooting indoor and 3D back years ago, I went to a thumb release and just never looked back. But
Yeah. I'll never shoot a thumb release. I couldn't. I'm too used to having it back here. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, man. I what I want people to take away from this podcast is we're not talking crap about CJ. We're not talking crap about this other company.
no,
It's
I
just
mean,
there's a lot of things going on, and I'm seeing a lot of division, and I hate that
no,
because on the CJ thing, if and I'll clarify it again, if he did poach it, throw the book at him. I
yeah,
will say that anybody, and that's not just personally at CJ. That's anybody, right? If
yeah,
you poach a deer, whether it's a spike or it's a 235-inch typical, you deserve to be caught, and whatever comes from that is what comes from that. If it's
right,
legal, amazing deer. I'm happy for him. Hopefully, hopefully that portion of everything gets cleared up relatively quick.
Right.
Broadhead stuff, all you're doing is dividing people, man, and
Yeah.
making yourself look bad. And it's
The broadhead industry has always been funny though. Like,
well, yeah, but like there's ways to do it. I mean, look at what G5's doing with their T2. It looks exactly like a Rage. And
yeah,
Dudley even talks about it. He's like, the other company I used to work for. And I'm like, bro, we all know who you shop for.
yeah,
Like, just say it. But if here's my thing with that broadhead, and G5 makes an amazing product. So I'm not trying to make it sound like they're copying Rage. I think what they did is they took that idea or design or whatever and made their improvements. So you're
oh, yeah.
going to see like potentially blades not breaking. They claim they shot 7 animals with the same broadhead, same blades. The Mega Meat obviously has been doing great. I'm
Yeah,
sure the T2 is going to do great.
yeah.
But I mean, again, I shoot fixed blades and I may run like a mix of the two, like some VPAs and some mechanical maybe, but I probably won't.
Well, what I
That's the
love, and
point.
a lot of people are like, I don't know that I do that, but I don't. I tune my bow myself generally. I do all that good stuff.
Mhm.
I shoot it through paper. I get it shooting straight through paper, and then I sight in the sight that I'm running, and then that's it.
Mhm.
I generally shoot mechanicals. I just have. That's just what I prefer. That's what I went with. The two mechanicals that I shoot, like I stated, was a Swacker and a Megabeat. They both fly exactly the same.
Mhm.
They both fly field tip flight with, I've shot both broadheads together right on top of each other
Yeah.
just to see. So I'll have a quiver full of Megabeats and I'll have like one Swacker in there.
Yeah.
And that's just my Swacker arrow is generally my last arrow. Like for whatever reason, if deer go crazy or a bunch of hogs come in or whatever that case may be that morning, uh, or that hunt, or that week, if I'm away for a weekend and I need another, I've got that Swacker.
Yeah.
But I keep spare broadheads and blades and stuff and all that stuff in the truck or in my bow pack or whatever. But yeah, I've always like generally guys that are shooting fixed blade, they stick with like that's the blade they're running and they have a quiver full of those.
Mhm.
I think it's funny because like you'll show up and people look at my quiver and they're like, "Yo, you have different broadheads." I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like they shoot good too. So
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is if your bow's tuned,
yeah,
I've experienced this. Like if your bow's tuned, you can shoot whatever you want. You have no
oh yeah.
problem. You know what I'm saying?
And as
So
long as you're shooting the same weight,
yeah.
and
Well, and that's kind of
theoretically,
why.
theoretically, if I took a, a, a fixed blade and I arrow tuned it or whatever. I had a fixed blade before that I had to tune. We literally had to have it lined up just right with like the veins and it had to fly. It was wild. Like
Yeah,
that's one reason I got away from fixed blades because I was like, dude, this is a lot.
it's changed a lot since then.
simpler, simpler guy. I like to
Yeah.
be able to put my broadheads on and go hunt. I'm just
Well,
that. I'm not lazy, but that's the convenience of having good broadheads like that you
yeah.
can use. And I don't shoot deer in the damn shoulder. Like that's what
Well,
cracks me up. Like if you do, I get it. And a deer's not always going to give you a perfect broadside shot.
mhm.
Also understand that. But I have passed on deer that wouldn't give me a broadside shot. That's just me.
Yeah.
I also don't have a hunting show, so I
Yeah.
don't have to shoot deer and I don't have to take weird shots or bad shots or whatever. So I try to respect the animal. I try to give it the best shot I can, and generally, if it gives me the shot I want, I can put a expandable through it, no problem.
Mhm. Well, and the thing is, like, my whole reasoning for wanting to do both is I have two properties that are one's extremely small and the
Yeah.
other I can go wherever I want. And then there's public, obviously. So like for the smaller property, I want something that's going to be making a gigantic hole that is going to kill it quickly,
Oh
whether
yeah.
it's passed through or not.
Yeah.
And I will say this, man, as much as I love VPA and I'm very blessed to, have them in my corner, right before we had them on the podcast and got partnered up with them is when I gut shot that doe. And I can promise you, if I shot that deer with anything else, she would not have died as fast or as close
Oh
as
yeah,
she did. I mean, I could
yeah.
fit my fist into the hole that mega meat made.
Those,
So,
those VPAs are pretty slick.
oh yeah, dude, VPA. If see, my thing with VPA is not the hole and it's not the blood trail. It's the penetration and it's the quality. The quality
Yeah,
is unbelievable. I mean, dude, I shot that Omega through that doe last year. Perfect double lungs, dead in 60 yards, and pulled that arrow out of the dirt. Broadhead was like, I mean, literally the arrow was 3/4 of the way in the dirt. And I was shooting
yeah,
60 pounds with a 450 grain arrow.
right.
And all I had to do was take that broadhead off, resharpen it real quick, ready
Yeah.
to go. And that's why I like them. I mean, their stuff's gonna last. Like I'll have those broadheads for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. The whole broadhead debate, like we could go another probably 2 hours on that because
Yeah.
it's like you say, just shoot whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But look, man, before we wrap it up, like I said, it's kind of a quick one. I'm sorry for that. I
Okay.
know you wanted to talk about early season stuff.
Well, later on too, once I get that property situated where I want to
Yes.
get some camera pictures, get some ideas. I also this year will be hunting. I have a core land permit for a place here. Uh, so I'm actually going to have two core land permits, but one is a specific archery core land permit.
Mhm.
So I will be doing some of that too.
Well,
So
and you
looking
also
forward
have
to
a
that.
trip planned, don't you?
Yep, going to Kentucky sometime in October, and I am so excited. The guy that has taken me up there, I've known him for quite some time, and he is a super good dude. From what I know, he has been in the industry for a long time, actually, uh, and uh, he's just super down to earth guy. I actually met him through Facebook, through a couple other. I think it was through another hunting group. He added me on Facebook some time ago, a couple years ago, I want to say. We've just continuously been friends, and he always talks to me through Facebook, and I love seeing his success pictures during hunting season and things like that because he does quite a bit of hunting in various places, and he invited me to go with him to Kentucky this year, and I was like, yes. I, without a doubt, I talked to my fiance. I was like, "What do you think? This is a dream come true to me." And I was like, "The guy doesn't. I don't think he understands like how excited I am, but it is. I feel like, dude, if I can relate it to anything, it feels like 12-year-old me, 14-year-old me getting ready for opening day. Like that's the excitement I'm getting, and we are not even to June yet, but I'm. Oh God, I'm stoked, dude. I don't even gotta kill a deer up there. I mean, the chances of me killing a doe are pretty high for sure. A buck, we don't know.
Mhm.
He says it's. He told me he's like, you're gonna see deer, man. There's no pressure on this place. He said so. The pictures and videos I've seen that he sent me, a beautiful scenery, beautiful place, and I'm just super blessed and very thankful to um, have him letting me come. I don't want to like mention his name or anything because I don't know if he really wants me to.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
If it's cool with him, once I go, I can give a report back once we go, and if I harvest a
But
good deer,
we'll do it.
and heck, we might. He might. I don't know if he would be interested in getting on a podcast or not, though. But that guy knows deer hunting. I mean, that man can deer hunt.
Yeah.
So, but I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to it, and yeah, I think October is what we're shooting for. So definitely, hopefully, gonna let that new Matthews lift eat on one down there or up there in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's I'm excited for you, man, because I know we've talked about like hitting Illinois and stuff. So you're branching out.
And
Um,
I got invited by another friend. I didn't even tell you this because this was like last night. I got invited by a guy to go to Ohio and yeah, or Ohio in October, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" And
oh
he
Lord.
wants he wants to double. He wants to duck and deer hunt potentially,
Yeah,
and I was like, "I don't think I can swing it." That's the problem.
yeah,
But I'm definitely trying to go out of state one time at least each year from now on. And so this is just going to start that.
yeah.
And we will definitely get to Illinois soon because Illinois public land looks awesome. So,
Well,
and of course, I'll
as
be a
somebody from there,
fan.
I
So,
can tell you the deer up there are solid.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
But
But
of course, I'll be in my Summit tree stands with Summit Goliath. Shout out to those guys. I know they're
okay.
a sponsor of the podcast, but for real, I have never. Um, Again, I'm not paid by nobody, but I've used the Summit since I've been a climber that I can remember. Probably since I was 16. I'll
Mhm.
be 30 in June, and I absolutely love every Summit I've sat my butt in.
Well, I
So
hope that Jake listens to this and hears that because
yeah,
I know
me
they'll
too, man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome,
But
man. Well, look, dude. Yeah, let's plan to get you back on and actually talk deer hunting. Now
we'll
that
do mid-season update or
no,
something.
we're gonna do another one before season starts.
Well,
Um,
maybe we'll get the gang back on for a
yeah.
preseason
Well,
rowdy.
because what I want to do is I want to get everybody on. Like you guys obviously know what I have going on right now. Bucks are starting to split. You know, trikes on camera, tanks on camera.
Dude,
It's gearing up to be a really good season.
Strike's looking good.
I know. So I'm planning. You know, maybe end of July we'll get everybody together
Yeah,
and
for sure.
do an episode, or maybe we'll do what we did last year and just get everyone together at Clybell and shoot, and then
Yeah.
that week we'll do an episode and talk about that and what everyone else has got going on. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, keep me updated. Obviously you and I talk like every day, so I'll know what's going
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you hopping on, at last minute.
Sure.
I hate that it had to be that way, and I hate that it has to be short, but
That's all good,
you
man. I
know,
appreciate you having me again.
yeah, of course. Yeah. You're probably the most recurring guest that I've had. So we're gonna keep that up.
People are gonna be like, "Oh God, it's Thor again." We're
I
just
know,
like,
right? They're gonna be like Thor Nichols. Damn it! All right, I'm not
"All
listening.
right, we're out of here."
The same old thing, talking about his spike.
Oh yeah, get the spike buck.
I'm kidding.
Like Uncle Ted, shoot the spike buck, baby.
There you go. Awesome, buddy. Well, I really appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it.